Welcome to the only show bringing cops and the community together for some real talk and some real listening. This is uncut. This is uncensored. This is Black and Blue Live. Welcome to Black and Blue Live, everybody. How you doing? My name is Dale. I'm the host of Black and Blue Live. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here today. I appreciate you. You know, usually my co-host Lizzie is here with me, but she's not here today. I don't know if any of you guys know that, but she works for a human trafficking task force, and today's one of those days she's not going to be able to join us. So, we will push forward and have some fun here without her. Hopefully she's watching or get a chance to watch this. Before we go forward, I want to let everybody know, thank you for joining us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. Your questions and comments are welcome. So thank you for joining us here today. Today's episode, we're going to talk about, sports. Bring a little levity today. We may get a little deep as well, but we're going to talk about sports, basketball in particular, college basketball. These officers that I'm going to bring on now are also NCAA officials. So thank you, Manny, for joining us here today. I appreciate you. Our first guest here, she was a 32-year veteran of the LAPD. And also an official as well as all these are. Everybody, please help me welcome in Anita Ortega.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm outstanding. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on.
Sure.
All right. And our next guest here is a 27-year veteran. He was with the Portland Bureau of Police. Everybody, please help me welcome in Vince Elmore. Get you out there. There you go.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, sir?
Doing just fine. How are you doing, Dale?
I am excellent. Thank you for joining us here today.
Glad to be here.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, he is a 17-year veteran of the Boston Police Department. We're going to have some discussions about Boston here today. Everybody, please help me welcome in Evan Burrows.
How you doing, Dale? Good to see you.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, I'm out here in LA. So, and so is Anita. So we had to talk about, Boston, hated rivals there of our beloved Los Angeles Lakers that just won the championship here. Thank you, everybody, for that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes. and our Dodgers as well. So, yes, here we are. So,
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, good for you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't sound so sincere about that. All right. Okay. So I wanted to talk about today. You guys are being officials, NCAA officials in basketball. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about your work in law enforcement and what brought the two together and how they intersect. So first, let's talk to Anita. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you did with the police department, and what you do now?
Absolutely. Born and raised in LA. Went to LA High, attended UCLA, and decided in 1984 that I wanted to be a police officer, and had a decision to make between Pasadena PD and LAPD, and I went with LAPD. Spent 32 years in the department, probably attained most ranks, retired as a captain over recruitment, but worked various assignments. Retired in 2016, and I don't know where the time has gone. I retired in 2016, and now I'm on several boards. I'm the chair of the National Association of Sports Officials. I also sit on the board of UCLA for undergrads. I did attend UCLA, like I mentioned, and I own a business here in Diamond Bar, Phoenix Salon Suites, Diamond Bar. So that's where my time goes.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your service there. All right, Vince, tell everybody who you are, what you did there in law enforcement, and what you're doing today.
My name is Vince Elmore. I grew up in South Carolina, attended school there, college, then went in the military. I was part of the Special Operations Command out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Delta operator. And then after that, I was recruited by the Vancouver Police Department in Vancouver, Washington. Was there for about 2 years, worked patrol primarily. Worked in other different assignments also. And then in 1990, I was recruited by the Portland Police Bureau, where I spent 27 years. And I worked, as I say, I worked in law enforcement for 27 years, but I feel that I've been a community servant for 29 years, working with my community, always a part of that piece for me. I worked patrol. I worked a sergeant with gangs and narcotics. I worked homicide. I was adjutant to the chief of police. I was the commander of the rapid response team, a captain of operations. And then when I retired, I was assistant chief at Portland State University for a period of time. And now I work with groups like Anita does. I work with a group called Word is Bond, which helps African-American males deal with the environment of staying safe when they're dealing with the police. We make sure that the young African-American males are not involved in force used by the police or any other environment. And we make sure that they're ambassadors to their community. And I'm a part of the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives. Been a part of that for 20 years. I was the vice president and president. I'm on the executive board now. So I try to stay active in the environment. And as we discussed earlier, I work in police oversight at this point in time, dealing with police misconduct and independent police review in the city of Portland.
All right. Well, thank you for your service. Appreciate you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right. And Evan, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Good evening to everybody. It's 8 o'clock here, and I know it's 5 o'clock over there, but it's been dark for 4 hours already. My name is, like I said, Evan Burrows. I've been a police officer in the city of Boston for 17 years. Born and raised in Boston. I went to school. It's a medical program, so I was out in the suburbs at Lincoln. I went to private school, the River School in Western Mass, and where I went on to Clark University for 4 years. I got into law enforcement around 21 years old. I was a dispatcher and a part-time police officer in a small department outside of the city. And I got on the job in Boston when I was 25. I'm currently assigned to the Special Operations Division, the motorcycle unit, and the SWAT team. And I've been over there for about 14, 15 years.
All right. Well, thank you for your service as well. You know, at first I was going to say I didn't really notice that Boston accent, but a few of those words came through.
It slips out.
it definitely did. I appreciate you. Appreciate the service. So everyone here is, well, not me, all you guests are or have been involved in officiating in the NCAA side of things. Let's talk about that. And, you know, definitely with COVID going on right now, there's not a lot of officiating. So, you know, how'd you guys get involved with officiating? I mean, I know Anita, you used to be in basketball at UCLA. Is that correct?
Yeah. I played basketball all through high school and college, and I got into law enforcement. And you know, LAPD is a crazy department in a lot of ways. It's busy, it's active. There's always something going on, and I was always out in the field. And I just needed something to take my mind away from, you know, law enforcement. You know, I love my career. I mean, obviously, I stayed there for 32 years, but I needed to have some sort of distraction. And a friend of mine suggested that I try officiating. You know, as an athlete, college athlete, I always felt officials were like the enemy. So I'm like, wow, why am I going to put on a black and white shirt? You know, are you kidding me? No way. And one weekend I went to like an officiating camp, and I tell you, it was the best thing ever. I felt like I was back on the basketball court. And so not only was it fun, but it gave me an opportunity to do something outside of law enforcement. So that's how I got involved, but never had any idea, not in my wildest dreams, that I would be officiating on this level.
Nice. And you've been doing that you saw the banner there for over 20 years.
Yes.
You've been involved in any high profile games or?
Oh, well, I've worked in NCAA's probably the last 22, 23 years. You know, I think I've had most teams. I got as far as the regionals. I didn't work the Final Four. But you know, it's a lot. Officiating for me has always been an avocation because I had a career. So you got to think about how do you balance officiating with a career that's very demanding, especially at my rank. I mean, I was accountable for people 24/7. So you know, it worked out great. You know, the involvement that I had in officiating worked perfect. So it worked out.
Yeah, here's a picture of you out there on the court, flexing your muscle there.
Yeah, she doesn't look too bad, does she?
No,
not at all. Excellent. You look good there.
All
Don't talk
right.
about my mechanics, though. Don't talk about my mechanics.
Not a word from me.
So Evan, how'd you get involved in officiating?
I got involved young. I was at the Ron Burton training village. Ron Burton Sr. was a running back for the Patriots, and he has up in Hubbardston, Mass. He had a football camp, and I was involved at the football camp when I was about 15 years old. And we used to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, run 8 miles, and then drills during the day. But we have a lot of downtime, so a group of us put together a little basketball tournament, and my team came in third. We were calling our own fouls, and there's this one kid, Byron, who's the best player at camp. But if Byron broke 12 ankles and missed a layup, he called, foul. So after my team lost and there was a finals, one of the kids, this kid Jason Smith, asked me to referee. So I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll give it a shot. And it was just it was fast moving. It was exciting, and I remember the basketball season my freshman year, going up to a guy that was refereeing, and I said, I think I want to referee. So he says, hold on, kid. He went to his bag, pulled out this old 1968 rule book, with the illustration, and gave it to me. And I read that thing that night, and I just loved it. So when I was a senior in high school, because in IBO you get certified at 18 years old. So I was a senior in high school. My mother made a deal with me. If I could keep my grades together, then I could go Thursday nights after football practice and then Sunday mornings before church. But I couldn't miss church, and I couldn't screw up in school. So I got certified at 18, and I've been doing it ever since, and loving it. Loving it.
All right. That's what's up. Appreciate that. And Vince, how'd you get involved with officiating?
Well, my environment, we had the military and NCAA basketball crossing lines when I was there at Fort Bragg, and I had been recovering from an injury. They didn't tell me that jumping out of planes would be hazardous to my health. And so from those environments, I met an official that was working in the Pac-10, which Anita works in the Pac-12 now. And during that time frame of getting well, I got a chance to meet him, and they needed someone to officiate basketball. So I was a pretty good athlete. I could understand on the run what needed to be done and so forth. So I started doing some games and so forth, and I got a chance to, at that point in time, they had NCAA teams coming into military posts to play the local military team. And when you have 28,000 men and women, you can actually find some good basketball players. And they were pretty good. And they would play me Wake Forest and the North Carolinas, because we were in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I got a chance to do some of the games before that, so that a champion will be selected to play in those games. And the tickets were free, and people came, and it was a great environment. And that gentleman helped me. And then I met a gentleman by the name of Al Moberg, who was a part of the Pac-10 for 20 years and an NBA evaluator of officials, who took me into his wing and said, look, this is what needs to be done. Also, he helped me maneuver the environments, what Anita talked about. As you move up in rank, it gets more difficult to do your job, because there's no way I could be at a basketball game when I'm the sergeant of the gang unit and there's a shooting that just happened. That doesn't work. So you have to be careful of those environments. And the only time I think I always got support in some ways, but there was one environment where the chief of police was actually a basketball coach. And so he supported me. He came to my game. I came to his games. He argued with me about the officials and the calls they made, and I would never give him any comments on it. But my career worked through those environments of other people helping me to maneuver those environments. But like Anita, I needed a balance. I mean, you go out there and you deal with those things on a day-to-day basis. The running up and down with those great athletes, the coaches coming at you. But the things, I told a coach one day, he said, well, Vince, what kind of day did you have? I said, well, we had 2 gang-involved shootings today, and we took an AK-47 off a kid. He goes, well, there's nothing I can say to bother you. I said, you're right, sir. So,
for real.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So from that environment, you get to communicate and understand and talk to people. And I loved it. This year, I'm not on the floor for obvious reasons, COVID-19, and we're inundated with things going on here in my own city. But I'm going to be back, ready to go. I'm 61, but feeling good. And I think, to me, I don't know about the rest of you, but Anita, it kind of keeps me young and in it, because you're running up and down and it feels good. And people ask me the same thing. Well, why would you want to do that also? And I said, well, you have a love for athletics and you have a love for people. Basketball is fine for me. So that's how I got started.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to ask you guys, and you just brought that up, that, running back and forth, is you guys keep up your stamina, your fitness, before you're working, in the off duty hours, so to make sure that you can keep up and down the court with these young bucks and ladies going up and down the floor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You have to. I mean, come on.
You have to.
Everybody knows. Anita, Evan, nobody wants to get beat on the fast break. Come on now. Come on. You're supposed to be there waiting for the play to come to you, so you can get a look at the start, develop, and finish of that play. And the kids
but Vince, these kids keep getting younger.
I know. They do.
Go figure. Go figure.
It turns to an angle game.
Yeah.
It does that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
they're getting younger and faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the athleticism of those kids is just amazing sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think for officials, just like dealing with the community and having environments that come at you, you don't understand everything when you walk into it. It's just like making some of those calls on the floor, because some of those plays look so ugly and nothing really happened. And the worst thing you want to do is put a whistle on something than when there was nothing there. So in some ways, you learn from the things you do on the floor, and you try to relate that to what you do in the field and what you've done and how you deal with people. And it's about relationships. Believe me, it is.
Yeah, definitely is. And those relationships with the coaches, relationships with the players, and relationship with the other officials. I mean, you guys got to work on that every time out, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So how's officiating like law enforcement? I mean, I know Anita spoke about earlier that doing the job of police work, she didn't want to put on another black and white shirt, it has people yelling at you like you do on the 9 to 5. How do those two careers intersect, in your opinion?
Well, for me, I think officiating, in some regards, is harder than being a police officer, because, man, you get some people that are really getting on your case, and you're trying to do the best you can, and you hear the coaches, you hear the players. But for me, it worked out well, because law enforcement is just another way, or law enforcement has provided me another way to officiate, to manage a game, to diffuse a situation, to develop a relationship, to have camaraderie with with the team and with your partner. So to me, it's almost an extension of law enforcement. It really is. Yeah.
What do you think about that, Evan?
I agree. I think that the two work out well with each other as far as the communication. The only thing is, on the street, sometimes people don't understand the rules. In basketball, it's a little different. But I think as far as the communication goes, I think both go hand in hand, and you can learn to talk to people the same way you would on the floor without having to be mean and demonstrative and aggressive, and still have control of the situation and gain the respect, and even more so, be a better listener.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to definitely be a better listener I guess in both careers, but they always teach you not to show up, the players and the other coaches as a ref. You don't want to be the central part of the game. You don't want to be the deciding factor of the game. I hear all these things all the time. So it kind of teaches you to be kind of low key and just get your job done professionally, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I want to bring in some comments from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. Everyone, please bring those in. Vivi V on Facebook says, how do you manage family life when you were doing both careers? How do you guys manage that? Anybody jump in?
Delicate. Go ahead, Evan.
Well, for me, obviously this is a discussion, I had with my wife when I met her. Basketball, working D1 is a dream. So, right when we got into it was like, this is a dream. I also work I work in a unit that's extremely busy. but when you have your time off, you have to do the best you can to be involved with the family, and that can be a tough juggle, but you got to make that effort, or because without them, we're not successful. We're not successful on the floor. We're not successful at work without their support, without their love. We're just we'll lose.
Now how's that work? Is there a lot of travel involved in officiating?
Yeah, there's a ton of travel. Depending obviously on how many leagues you work in and places to be, you could be gone for a week at a time, and that can get hard to juggle everything.
Yeah. And how did you juggle it with your job? Did they allow you guys? I know Anita and Vince talked about, especially as they moved up the ranks, but I would even think, being, a low guy on the totem pole and patrol,
that's
maybe
me.
A sergeant. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Two captains and Ev. Thanks.
Right. Yeah.
You know what?
Your bosses probably
The
wouldn't want
important
to
part
let
is
you.
don't even try that.
Yeah. Your supervisor saying, hey, boss, I got to take a week off to go do this. How's that work out?
I mean, that's burning a lot of vacation time, and it's. I have a great department that has always, been behind me, and they've been great. I've been with coworkers and partners that have been great, and it's a big juggle. But when you get to work after, you get in that flight at 5 a.m, you go straight to the station. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. Do you guys feel like it's at some point you should have been an official from day one? Could you have done that life as opposed to being a full-time police officers?
No, not for me. I mean, if I can speak, it's just law enforcement was always a dream for me, because I grew up in South Central, and South Central LA. When I was growing up, you didn't see very many African American police officers, nor did you see very many female African Americans, and it was like something I wanted to do, and I was hoping that through this career I could make changes and let my community see who I am and be a role model for my community. But going back to the original question about the balance of life and officiating, I think it's you got to have a balance, and you got to have someone who's very supportive of what you're doing, because like Evan said, you can be gone for weeks at a time, or you get in at 5 o'clock in the morning and you get out of your rental car, or you get off the plane, take your car, and you drive to the station. I would do that all the time. But thankfully, I had some really solid lieutenants, and I had some solid patrol captains that were there to cover for me. But it's still a juggling act, and that we need a lot of support, not only from the law enforcement side, but from your family side as well. Because I have a 30-year-old daughter now. At the time, she was a teen, so I wanted to make sure she was involved in all the high school activities and prom and graduation, and so you got to be there. It's a juggling job, and sometimes you get to the point where you do everything instinctively, because if you really stopped and thought about all the things you had to do as an official with a career, you might drive yourself crazy.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just like so.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Vince?
Well, I think she's, like Anita said, it's a juggling act sometimes, but you have to put your family first. That's just because without that, as Evan said, it doesn't work for you. And I had a chance I was in LA, in fact, Anita. The Pac-10 commissioner back then, a friend of mine, Jarrell Gaddis, we were all together and we did the Pro-Am in Los Angeles. And I had good games, got a look. And they were thinking about inviting people to the NBA camp and these kind of environments and so on. And what you found out very quickly is it would be a change of lifestyle, because they needed specific people in specific geographical locations. And Nita and Evan can both talk to that. It's about geography sometimes. And they made it very clear that they needed someone in Philadelphia. They needed someone here. So if I was going to do that, I was going to have to change my career field. And I wasn't going to do that. Because what you also find out, I had an associate, and I was proud of him. He decided to make that change, not from law enforcement, but his career path. He moved. It's a 1-year contract. He worked for a couple of years, and then he was dropped. And that happens. And that can happen at any time. So you have to weigh those environments, weigh the environment of the toll it will take on your family, and missing birthdays or all the events that you should be at. And there's a time when you have to decide, I'm going to block out that game and I'm going to be here for my kids. And that's important. And for any young official out there listening, because I've seen some make the wrong decision. I've seen officials give up their family for basketball. I've witnessed and been there for that. And that was totally amazing to me. But you have a dream, and they wanted to do it, and they did. And that was them. But I'm like Anita, no. I never thought of doing it. I love what I did in law enforcement and being a part of my community.
Yeah. And then you just touched on, missing birthdays and holidays and all that. You describing law enforcement right there.
True.
That's the same thing. So, why you want to do that twice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is officiating on the NCAA level, is it a part-time gig for most officials, or do they have full-time officials, or how's that work?
I think, in my opinion, I think it's probably 70-30. I think most officials are full-time officials. They make a career, especially in light of the fact that, you make pretty good money for one game, and this is what they do, so I think most people, for me, it's an avocation, but yet it's almost like a second career, because I spend so much time away from home working so many games, and you have to bring your A game. You got to be professional, and you got to realize that each game is significant to the players and to the coach. So you have to be ready for every game, every night.
Yeah. How much preparation goes into officiating a game, or officiating the whole season? I know you got to, rules changes. Are there, meetings and classes you guys had to go through, or how did that work?
Well, when you talk about that, Dale, you go back to your original question about how do you compare policing to officiating. Implementing the NCAA guidelines is both these two big hitters, you can tell you, because they both are very good at what they do. And I've watched refereeing voices with Anita speaking. I've seen Evan on TV. So the thing about it is that you're implementing the rules of the game, okay? When you're in law enforcement, you're implementing, in my area, you're implementing the ORSs and the rules and the laws of the state, local, sometimes federal government, federal laws. So when you talk about those things, it's also about who you are. There's Joy Crawford, an NBA official for 36 years, a legend, said that officiating will tell you who you are, because it will expose some things about you that you might not know, and it does. So when we talk about implementing those environments, we need to talk about all the things that go along with that, and the empathy and compassion that goes in to deal with your community and people you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how you adjudicate what you do when you're refereeing a basketball game. And I come from a military background. My father was a sergeant major, my grandfather was a gunnery sergeant, and I get it. And early on in my career, everything was cut and dry for me. And it was, this is the rule and this is what we do. And then you learn, because you get good mentors. David Gonzalez, a guy out of Salem, and just a host of others that have helped me progress and learn that it's not always black and white. And I know people out there watch games, and they may see a game that Evan does, and they're playing because they're 6'11" and 6'12", and they're banging on the post. And then at another level, sometimes players are not as athletic and so forth, and that officiating may look different. And I understand that. But it's the totality of the circumstances, how you deal with it. And I think that they cross, the way they cross each other is important, as Anita talked about. But we need to make sure we understand that for me, it's a difference. And we need to make sure that people understand that we work hard 2 hours before, or this is the one. You drive 4 hours in the snow. And this is not your grandparents telling you about you drive for 2 hours to the school, right? And you need to learn, you need to get a good education. But you drive 4 hours to the Oregon Institute of Technology in the snow, okay? You do the game, it's packed. That's the only thing out in that area. They love their basketball. And Danny Miles out there had 8,000 wins. He's a great coach. And then you have to drive back to Portland, and that's 5 hours. And so you get back, like Evan talked about, at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and you got a 7 a.m. brief.
Yeah.
So that's how that works.
Yeah,
at times.
you had to love both of those
You
jobs
do.
to be able to, yeah.
You do.
Yep. I've been there and done that myself. So, juggling this podcast, juggling. I was going to school for a while, just finished up my master's. I'm a DJ on the side, family, and I'm still working. So yeah.
So what's your handle, Dale? You're a DJ. What's your handle, man?
We'll save that for off air. We'll save that off air. But
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you gotta love all those jobs, and like you said before, everyone said before, your family, they gotta support you in that, and you gotta support them, and hopefully it all works out for you. So, what do you think is the most difficult part about being an official, though? I know you said a lot of it is the travel. But, in game, what is the most difficult part about being an official? Anybody jump in there?
In game?
In game.
In game, I think the most difficult part for me, I think, is to not get caught up. Not get caught up. When some of these environments you go into they're just hype. I mean, it's insane in there. You got a coach with a big personality. You got, these big time players and everyone's playing hard and it's exciting. The crowd's into it. And the hardest thing is trying to remain calm and remain focused, watching each individual play start, develop, and finish, and not, either you have a whistle or you don't have a whistle. You don't want a game interrupter. You don't want to be the problem. That concentration between timeouts is intense.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about that? Anybody else there? What's the most difficult part about being official in game?
Go
ahead, Nita.
I agree with Evan. I totally agree with Evan. It's when you get into that arena, I mean, it's tough, and you have to. I think one advantage of being a police officer is that even though we may feel a certain way physically, our outward appearance is more calm. And I think coaches appreciate that, players appreciate that. So you have to maintain that composure throughout. And the big thing for me is to make sure that my partners are on the same sheet of music, And so when I'm doing the pregame, we talk about, hey, how we're going to handle this, how we're going to handle that, and try to stay cool, calm, and collected, because it can be tough. So having a really solid crew makes a big difference too.
Absolutely. You were going to say something, Vince?
Well, I agree with both of my colleagues here. Is very important, but I think the question you asked earlier about how the cross sections of the two careers come together, in many of the cases that we have walked into, we have only the information given us by radio. They told us this happened at this time, and these are the people involved. And you walk in that environment, and your job is to de-escalate that environment and make it a calm environment. So your demeanor and how you deal with things on the floor. I think I've seen the other two on the floor. I'm not sure if they've seen me. You have to have a command presence, but you also have to be approachable. One of the NCAA guidelines is always about communication with the coaches, where you have to communicate with people all the time. And if that breaks down in a game, it can be very difficult. And if your partners are not on the same sheet of music, it can be a mess. It really can. And and I think the three of us, we've been in those environments so many times that you know that you have to keep it at a certain level, and that you have to make sure that they can't tell by the look on your face that you're upset or anything. Because when you see the video, because video doesn't lie, or when you're on TV, you can't take it back. And when you approach a coach or approach someone, it has to be an environment so that you're willing to talk to them, not like you're the person saying stop, giving them the stop sign and so forth. And only when that's appropriate. Because sometimes you have to give the stop sign and go, okay, we're done. We're done with that. Okay. But you still can do that in a respectful manner. And I think that you have to do the same thing in the community when you deal with people on a traffic stop and give them their dignity. And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we talked about, how law enforcement has helped, you and your officiating careers. How about the inverse? How has officiating helped you guys in your law enforcement career? Is there any lessons that you learned while officiating that you could translate over to police work? I take that as a no.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah. Well,
I was waiting for Anita to answer.
yeah.
No,
Go ahead.
no,
Go ahead,
I was no, I was really trying to comprehend and come up
Yeah.
with something on that. But I think for me, it's the reason why I got into officiating again is what I mentioned earlier. I just needed that balance. So
Mhm.
the biggest thing I've gotten from officiating so far is great relationships, great friendships, meeting people from different walks of life, understanding that we are different in a lot of ways, getting a chance to see the world. That those things I would have never gotten being in law enforcement,
Yes.
LAPD for 32 years.
Hey, Dale, I have one for you. When you got to understand some of the officials that come together. So if myself, Anita, and Evan came together, she's from LA, I'm from Portland, he's from Boston. And so different environments, different kind of basketball. So we have to come together in one place at a game in New Mexico, let's say. And now we have to work. We get there 2 hours before the game, and then we've never met each other, and we have to come together as a crew. That's not easy sometimes because
No.
everybody brings their baggage to the game and their lifestyle, right? So when you have communities, you have different communities that have to come together. You have a community meeting, and people come from different cultural backgrounds, different economical backgrounds. You have the homeless population. You have all these environments, and you have to find a way to make all of that work also. So when I look at those environments, I see refereeing as helping me to do those things and understand how people can be different but the same, and trying to make them find a commonality in everything you're doing and what you're doing, as far as the mission of this, whether it be a basketball game or a community meeting. And that's how I think officiating has helped me with that piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for me, what officiating has helped me in law enforcement is being able to communicate with kids. Like we were joking around early before talking about how the kids keep getting younger and younger. Well, the culture of these kids change. And so what I find is that, as I continue to interact with these kids, I can bring that back to Boston when I interact with the kid. I know, I always joke with my niece. I'm like, what's hip? What is, I try to pretend I'm a cool uncle,
First of all, the word hip, isn't it?
Exactly. But, and what was one of the old, like, I was like, what happened?
No.
Who was that? Whose page is going off? So, it just communicating with these kids. It keeps you youthful, and when you're walking around, your communities, when you work and you're meeting people, it just keeps you being able to just talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there are two sides of the NCAA basketball side piece. You've got the men's game and you got the women's game. Anita, do you get a chance to officiate both, or how's that work? Is it tough for women to break inside the men's game?
Well, you got to pick a side. I'm strictly women.
Okay.
I work the Pac-12, the Mountain West, the WCC, and the WAC, West Coast Conferences.
Is it tough for women to break into the men's side, or?
Well, I don't know many women. Do you guys know of any women that's working the men's side? I think, if anything, it's just the NBA.
I think there's. I thought I saw a blurb or something about a NCAA men's game with one of our women colleagues, but I know it's been a topic of the conversation for quite some time.
Yeah.
And we have Viola Palmer. Viola is legendary, and we have a lot of folks out there. But I have refereed. Well, you have to pick a side. Anita knows. She understands. You pick a side. But I have had environments where it's snowing outside or the weather's bad, and you're there, and they go, "We have two," and you have to referee the women's basketball game and then the men. So I have had but the one thing I want to say to Anita, I remember them being a divide between women officials and men officials, and that kind of a divide, and we're different, and the game is different. But I remember being asked to do that game, and the person said, "You okay with that?" And I go, "Well, why wouldn't I be?" you need somebody, I'm gonna do the game. And so I helped, I did the game, and then my game came later, and I was tired. But yeah, but the question was like, well, would you do a women's basketball game? Of course, I have daughters, I have kids, so yes, I respect the game and I respect what Anita and others have done. But sometimes it seemed to have been early in my career divide between either you're going to do this and your route to a specific thing is through this area, not through women's, but through men's. And you can get to this place through this area if you go into this environment, but not that. So I experienced that a little bit. Yeah.
And, and I stand to be corrected. I feel really bad. A very good friend of mine is working the men's side, Crystal Holden. She just, you're right. You made me think of that, Vince. And she works the Pac-12 and a lot of West Coast conferences, the men's side. And she started on the women's side, and the women's side wasn't her game. There's a difference between the men's style of officiating and the women's style, and she fit perfectly into the men's side. Did a lot of pro-am stuff, officiated NBA players, and she's doing just superb. Crystal Holden.
Why is there a difference in sides? Exactly. Vivi here on Facebook says, why do you have to pick a side? Is there a different rules on both sides? Is the women's game, does it have different rules than the men's game, or why do you have to pick a side? Go ahead, Anita.
I don't think you really have to pick a side. I was just, as a female basketball player, I was just drawn to female athletes and officiating women's games. I think it's your call. It's just whatever your heart desires. So there's no, strict requirement that you pick a side, but that's what I was drawn to, the women's side.
I got you. And since you brought that up, I do want to let everyone know that's viewing us here that Anita did play for the national champion UCLA Bruins back in what year is that picture there, Anita?
1700 BC or
something. Dale, you asked that question, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were on that team. How was that run through the championship on that year, Anita?
You know what? That was in 78. Okay. Don't try to do any math. But it was a great year.
You were 12. You were 12.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Good man.
Hey, good man. There you go, Dale.
You had lost some points there for a minute, Dale. You get a little better there.
Tried to help you.
Yeah, I know. I saw that, Vince. Yeah. You tried to bail him out.
Yeah, he did.
But no, it was a good run. Being the leading scorer in the championship game against Maryland. Being probably the only African American on the team and going through that culture shock at UCLA, it was a wonderful thing. And, as a result, it opened many doors for me. So that championship run, in fact, to this very day, that's the only championship that UCLA women have. The 1978 banners and the Raptors at the Potter Pavilion, and there's no other. Yes.
You know what? I was gonna. I was remiss. I was about to say Cheryl Miller, but she was at the rival school. Sorry about that.
Yeah, please. Yeah. USC is done.
Yeah,
she was at points again. Losing points again.
Dale. Way to go, Dale.
I had to think about that because I remember her. I remember her brother. Her brother went to UCLA, but she went to SC. Yeah, we all know her brother, Reggie.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, Evan and Vince, you guys help Dale out a little bit more.
My man can't get right.
Oh, man.
He just can't get right.
He needs a wingman.
Can't get right.
He needs a wingman. Big
Do I need to show this picture again?
Oh yeah, now you're just digging. Now you're just digging a hole. That's right, Dale. Just go with it now.
I'm out, man.
All right. So back when you guys were officiating, how did the coaches feel about you guys being in law enforcement? Did the coaches know? Did the players know from the various teams? How did that work with you guys?
Nobody knew for me.
The coaches,
I kept it pretty quiet, for a while. And then, eventually, someone would hear about it and they ask questions, and you find out they're related to somebody who's in law enforcement, and it's been fine.
Yeah. Okay. So that Evan? No, I'm not. No, that's another Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys, Anita and Vince?
Well, go ahead, Vince.
Okay. Well, sometimes coaches can be paranoid about things sometimes, about officials that they don't know when they see your name on the list, and they'll Google you and find out who you are. And I've had some of coaches that have asked me, "How was your day?" And did you arrest anybody today? And I go, "No, I did not, sir." And so on. But you know what? I took it as an opportunity to talk to them and create an environment of having a conversation. And some of those conversations turned into some great things that weren't about basketball, per se. And it's about opportunities. And I think that we need to take opportunities to communicate every chance we get. And so I took it as a way of starting a conversation with them. And sometimes it worked out well. Some they were just probing to see if they could get your attention and get you distracted away from what your job is to do on the floor. And when they find out they couldn't do that, then it turned into a conversation. And I can remember a number of them asked me how it was or how things, when something happened, how are you today about what happened today? And work hard and so on. So from that environment, yes, some knew, especially in the areas where I worked within the community in which I was policing. And so I took that opportunity to get to know people, because I had a gentleman tell me one time, he goes, "Wait a minute, now you're going to pull me over and give me a ticket, and then you going to call a foul on my son?" I go, "Look, I haven't called a foul on your son. I didn't give you a ticket today." And he and I are friends to today. In fact, we played golf last week. And that started through that conversation. And he wasn't exactly pro-police at all during our conversation, but it developed. And all I can say is that all I try to do is take every opportunity I get to start a relationship or start a conversation. And if that conversation has to be a difficult one, so be it. And then you take it from there. So that's just an example of what I went through.
Yeah, and I would hope that just like this podcast is bridging the gap, letting people, have those conversations with people and kind of let people know that, we and law enforcement are people too. We like basketball, we like officiating, we like watching Glee or whatever it is all these sorts of things. We like hey, I said it, Evan. I said it.
Evan,
but,
he watches.
Yeah.
Evan,
but we're here to let people know that we are people too. So that's kind of what I would hope that officiating would bring about as well. That once you get those conversations started, they're speaking to a police officer, away from the job. So that's good stuff. So how is nobody's officiating now, for obvious reasons, COVID-19. How does that affect everyone's work environment in officiating? Is it coming back anytime soon? And when it does, or how are you guys going to be operating?
Well, I can speak to the Pac-12 and the West Coast Conference. There's going to be a season. In fact, I think I have a game at the end of the month. But the protocol is just amazing, what you have to do. In fact, you have to take 3 COVID-19 tests before your game day. You get to the arena, you take another one. You have to wear, of course, face coverings. A good friend of mine, Ron Foxcroft, the guy who came up Fox 40, he sent me a face mask where it contains your whistle as well. So yeah, there's going to be a season unless something drastic happens. Of course, no fans. The players are going through the same strict protocols, and we'll see what happens.
All right. What about it there in the East Coast there, Evan?
The Big East is also planning on having a season in the ACC, A10, and the Patriot League. The Ivy League, unfortunately, they canceled their winter sports for the season. Mm-hmm. But like Anita said, the protocols they're intense, and they really want to play, and they're definitely keeping the players' safety and our safety in mind.
All right. And you getting back into events?
My commissioners talked to me about that. I might be doing some evaluating on the side, but I think I'm going to stay off the floor for a little while. I have plenty of work to do here in Portland, and I think I'm just going to take the time off to have family time and do those things. And when we get a vaccine, I'm ready to go. But I thought it was best for me at this point in time to make that decision early and not have people guessing. And as they talked about, those protocols for some of the small colleges and areas in the Northwest are the same and as much as stringent as they should be. because the COVID overlay over everything that's going on has caused difficulties throughout our nation and throughout the world, and we have to take it seriously. So that's where I'm going to be right now.
All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody for coming on and giving us some knowledge of what's happening in officiating, what's happening in that intersection between officiating and police work. Before I let you get out of here, I'm going to play a game with you guys, and let me bring this up here. The winner's going to get one of these beautiful black and blue T-shirts here. Look at that. Yeah, you like that? Get on
you
the
need
back
to just send it to Anita. Just send it to Anita.
Send it to Anita, man.
Don't play no games. Just send it to her.
Just send it to Anita.
Square peg in a round hole. That's our motto here, black and blue.
Yeah.
So let me get this set up for you here. In honor of the passing of Mr. Alec Trebek here, we are going to play a game of Jeopardy. So let me get, here we go. So let me get this, let me get this all set up here for you. All right. So we are going to play Jeopardy, official Jeopardy. I know you guys all officiate basketball, but we are going to test your knowledge, not only in basketball, but we've got some categories here. We've got the hardwood, we've got the gridiron, we've got the diamond, we got the ice, and we got the courthouse. So we are going to clear this board, and when the board is clear with the most points here, I'm sure you guys know how Jeopardy works. Will win that beautiful T-shirt here. So we will go here alphabetically, and we will let Angela have the control of the board. But first, let me play. You guys can hear that Jeopardy theme here.
Yes, we can, Dale.
In honor of Mr. Alex Trebek. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
All right. So, Angela, you have control of the board. Pick a category. Angela, can you hear that? Can you hear me?
Anita?
I'm sorry. Why did I say Anita? I mean, Angela.
Anita.
Up on the board.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Hold on. I know I'm messing things
That's
up here.
right.
Here we go. Oh, hold on.
You just can't get
Anita,
right. I swear to God.
I know. Here we go. Anita. See, look, real time. We are live here. We are live.
We know.
We are live. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Anita, you have control of the board, the hardwood, the gridiron, the diamond, the ice, or the courthouse. Pick a category.
Give me the hardwood, the 300.
For 300. The try for a goal that occurs when any player gains control of a ball and then attempts to drive, force, or stuff it through the basket.
What is the slam dunk?
What is a slam dunk? That is correct. Yes. Anita, first one there. Yes. Over here. We got you there on the board. Get rid of that. This is live, right? Come on now. Here we go. What is a dunk? There we go. All right. Go back here to the board. This isn't quite working out the way I thought it would. There we go. Here we go. So we got that one for you. Still have control of the board there.
Let's go with the courthouse for 100.
The courthouse for 100. Having a BAC of 0.08 or more while operating a motor vehicle.
What is an absolute drunk?
An absolute drunk. Yes, what is a DUI? Yes.
I mean, I don't know. You got to ask the judges about that one.
All right. You still have control of the board here.
Okay. Give me.
Anyone can jump in. Anyone can jump in after I read the total question. So your name is your buzzer. So go ahead, Anita. You still got it.
Okay.
You didn't know that.
You
didn't tell us that, Dale.
Yeah. I want to share. Let's go
I can't get right.
200.
Hardwood for 200. The illegal personal contact that impedes the progress of an opponent.
Let's go with foul. Let's go with a common foul.
A common foul. That would not be correct.
Okay.
I'm trying to push this thing, Dale. It's not working.
No, your name is your buzzer. Just say your name.
Vince.
Vince said it right. Go ahead, Vince. What is it?
What is a block?
What is a block? I would say yes, that is correct. What is blocking? Yes. All right. See, we're getting through this. Go ahead. You have control of the board there, Evan.
I think Vince got the answer right.
Did Vince, you get that? Let me take that off of you then. Vince got that right. There you go. Go ahead, Vince.
All right, could we have gridiron for 300?
Gridiron for 300. A scrimmage kick that passes over the crossbar between the uprights of a receiving team's goal before it touches a player of the kicking team or the ground.
Evan,
Evan, go ahead.
field goal. What is
Field
a
goal. What is a field goal? That is correct. You have
I'm on the board.
You are on the board.
That's what
You have
call it.
control.
Diamond for 300.
The diamond for 300. The action of a base runner advancing to the next base unaided before the pitcher delivers the ball.
Evan,
Vince.
Evan, go ahead.
what is a steal?
What is a steal? Stolen base. That is correct. See?
Why don't you sit back, Vince? Let me just ride this out.
You know what? You watch. We got something for you.
What is I'll take the courthouse for 300.
Courthouse for 300. The entering of a dwelling with the intent to commit a felony.
Evan,
Evan, go ahead.
what is breaking and entering?
Breaking and entering, I would say yes. How about that? It is. What is a burglary?
Burglary. I was
Come on.
burglary. That's not breaking in.
No.
I will say, because every state is different, I had to
Exactly.
kind of tailor this.
Okay.
I had to tailor this because in Boston, in Massachusetts, you guys say it has to be at night, right?
Right.
Yeah, not here in California. So
No,
I will let that one. I will let that one slide. Go ahead, Evan.
I got to check that one out.
You still got control, Evan.
The ice for 300.
The ice for 300. A check delivered by extending the arms with both hands on the stick and making contact with the opponent.
Evan,
Go ahead, Evan.
what is a cross check?
What is a cross check is correct.
Okay, we play hockey
Yeah.
over here, people. We play
Yeah,
hockey
you
over
do.
here.
Oh, yeah,
We
you
play
do.
hockey over here. You guys understand that in LA.
Yeah, we don't
not
play it
much
out here in
there.
LA much.
Yeah.
Well, we got the Kings and the Ducks. Go ahead. You still got control there.
Let's go the hardwood for 400.
The hardwood for 400. The legal act of any player, offensive or defensive, with or without the ball, without contact, that delays or prevents an opponent from reaching a desired position.
Anita,
Anita,
Oof.
what is a
Go ahead.
foul? What is a
that
foul?
is that is incorrect.
Evan,
Ooh.
Go ahead, Evan.
what is a screen?
Yes.
Oh.
That's-
What is a
that's gonna be
screen?
train.
Yes.
Yeah, you got me.
Oh, you got control, Evan.
I've never won anything.
So-
The courthouse for 200.
Hold on for 200. Go ahead.
Courthouse for 200. The intentional, willful, or reckless death of another human being.
Anita,
Vince.
What is homicide? What is murder?
What is homicide? What is murder? That is correct.
Yeah.
All right. You have control of the board.
We are going to go with hardwood for 500.
Hardwood, we're going all the way. This action takes place when a player who is holding the ball steps once or more in any direction with the same foot, while the other foot is kept at a point of contact on
Evan.
the floor.
What is it?
Evan,
Evan, go ahead.
Pivot.
Come on.
what is a pivot?
What is a
Pivot.
pivot? That is
That's it.
correct.
That is it.
All right. Evan, you got control of the board.
Let's go the ice for 500.
The ice for 500. All right. The
Let me
act
get
of
this t-shirt
impeding the
real quick.
progress. The act of impeding the progress of an opponent with the stick or by using the stick in a reverse position to obtain or keep the puck from an opponent.
Vince.
Vince. Go
High
ahead.
sticking. What is high sticking? Or,
That is incorrect.
Oh,
Evan,
Evan, go ahead.
what is hooking?
What is hooking is correct.
I told you, Vince, we got these ice rinks over here. in this-
Yes, I would have known that myself if I didn't look that up.
look, I've heard them say it on the broadcast. Okay.
Go ahead there, Evan. You got control of the board.
All right, I'm going to lose this one, right? Yeah, let's go big. Let's go courthouse for 500.
Courthouse for 500. The intentional causing of physical injury to any spouse, former
Anita.
spouse, cohabitant,
Anita,
or
I mean,
or
I
person.
thought
I thought the person who doesn't
Supposed to
matter.
finish reading.
Let me finish it.
Okay.
Let me finish it.
Okay.
Former spouse, cohabitant, or person of a dating relationship.
Evan.
Vince.
Anita.
Go ahead, Evan.
Oh,
Domestic
come on,
violence.
man. See, come on, Dale.
What is it? What is it, Evan?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence
It's
is
exactly
correct.
You're right. He's playing like it's that's right.
Ivan on Facebook says Evan needs to trade in his black shoes for skates.
Ivan, good man.
Okay. Next, you got control of the board there.
The
Evan, go
courthouse for 400.
Courthouse for 400. The willful and malicious setting of fire of property, structure, or land.
Vince.
Anita.
Vince.
What is arson?
What is arson? Arson is correct.
You're welcome,
Vince.
Vince.
Yeah, okay.
Vince, you got control of the board.
All right, we're gonna go gridiron for 500.
Gridiron for 500. The end of advancement by the ball carrier or airborne pass receiver of either team and applies to the position of the ball when it becomes dead.
Vince, when is the player down?
That is incorrect. Anybody else?
Okay.
What is forward progress? Forward progress. I got these directly from the NCAA rules books on each of these sports. So Vince, you still got control of the board. Go ahead.
All right, let's go big again. Let's go 400 gridiron.
Gridiron for 400. High-low or low-high combination act by any two players against an opponent, not the ball carrier, anywhere on the field. Anybody else?
I can't think of it. I know what it is.
You're done, Vince. Anybody else? Evan or Anita? What is a chop block?
I knew it. Oh,
you should have said something.
I don't want to lose points. I'm nervous.
Vince, you still got to control the board here. We're clearing this.
I got to get back here. Let's go. I'm not going to ice because we know who knows that. Let's go 200 for the gridiron.
Gridiron for 200.
Right.
The act of firmly controlling a live ball from flight with the hand or arm before the ball touches the ground. The act of firmly controlling a live ball from flight.
Evan.
What
is a catch?
What is a catch? That is correct. And we know there's been various definitions of what is a catch over the years.
Yes,
but, Evan, you got control of the board.
Let's go back to the ice for 400.
Back to the ice for 400.
I'm getting this one.
This process involves 3 players from each team taking alternate shots against an opposing goaltender to break a tie.
Vince.
Vince, go ahead.
A penalty shot.
That is incorrect. Anybody else? Evan, I know you know it. Go ahead.
Anita, give it a shot, Anita.
Go ahead, Anita.
I have no clue. I'm from California.
Now, I know it is. I'm going to screw up the name, so I'm going to sit back on this one. I'm going to be mad when you pop it up, though.
What is a shootout?
That's exactly what I knew it.
Soccer.
That's
sad. The
go ahead.
Ice for 200.
Ice for 200. The only player entitled to handle the puck with their hands, feet, or stick.
Vince.
Anita.
Only player. Go ahead, Vince.
Anita, go ahead. Anita said it. Go ahead, Anita.
Go ahead, Anita.
How many points do I have first? Are you keeping tally?
You got negative 200.
Oh, oh my gosh.
The only player.
The only player. The captain.
Evan.
Vince.
Negative. Go ahead, Evan.
Goalie.
That is the goalie. The goaltender, yes.
Come on, Anita. I gave that one to you.
And that's the same in soccer there. Come on, Anita.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Evan. You got it.
The diamond for 500.
The diamond for 500. The area over home plate from the bottom of the batter's kneecaps to the midpoint between the top of the shoulders and the top of the uniform pants. Evan.
Strike zone.
Strike zone is correct. Yeah, that was Evan. Hey,
guys are
you know
good.
there's no favoritism on
I'm
this.
about to get my
You guys are
T-shirt.
good.
I'm about to
Him
get
being
my
from Boston.
T-shirt.
That's Anita's t-shirt. We both know that.
No,
Yeah, I'll just
no,
send it to you.
My
you guys
thing
are
is to
kicking
get
butt.
my thing is to get the ice ones away from Evan. That's all that matters.
Good
Go ahead,
luck.
Evan. You still got control of the board here.
The diamond for 400.
The diamond for 400. The action of two players being put out between the time a pitch is delivered and the time the ball next becomes dead or in the possession of the pitcher.
The time.
You out of it there. You get points deducted there.
Okay.
Anybody else, Vince or Anita? That is a double play.
Okay, I knew it. But I'm already in the
Nope.
hole.
Scared
Okay.
money don't make money, Vince.
I know. I know.
We got a few more categories left here. Go ahead, Evan. You still got control of the board.
Diamond for 200.
Diamond for 200. An eligible substitute player who is not listed in the lineup and bats for another player in the lineup.
What is a pinch hitter?
That is correct. Pinch hitter is correct.
I mean, I know baseball too, guys. So I'm just like, you know,
It's clear.
You still got control of the board.
The ice for 100.
The ice for 100. A check delivered at or below an opponent's knees.
Ooh. Dirty.
What is it?
Anybody else there? Vince or Anita? What is clipping?
Clipping. Makes sense.
Clipping.
I just know it's dirty. We just call it dirty around.
You just call it dirty.
See,
Three more categories
on the
board.
ice when we play, we just call it dirty. You know, the diamond for 100.
The diamond for 100. A batted ball that goes high in the air directly off the bat.
What is a bunt?
No, it's not.
Anita.
It is not a
no. Oh
Anita.
no.
Oh, no.
Go ahead, Anita. Go ahead, Anita.
Go ahead, Anita. Go ahead, Anita.
Airball.
That wrong sport, Anita.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Evan.
Oh no, I already got it wrong. Go ahead, Vince.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Vince.
That would be a fly ball?
That would be a fly ball, yes.
Fly ball.
Mm-hmm. What is a fly ball?
Yeah, almost air ball, fly ball.
Anita, we thought you had that one.
Vince, you got control of the board, Vince.
So we got gridiron for 100.
Gridiron for 100. This foul occurs when the play clock reaches 0-0 before the ball is put in play.
What is a dead ball foul?
That is incorrect. Anybody else? This foul occurs when the play clock reaches 0-0-0.
What is a delay a game?
What is delay a game? That is correct.
What
And
foul?
Evan, you've got the last one here, Hardwood. We'll just pull that up for you. The illegal personal contact of pushing or moving into an opponent's torso.
What
This is
is
basketball?
What is a charge?
What is a charge? Charging is correct. And looks like
you all can send your checks to.
we do have. Oh, all right. I was funny. We did have a winning. He killed it.
Yes,
Oh man, killed it there.
Yeah.
All right.
It was the hockey. It was the hockey category.
Yeah.
the hockey.
West Coast folk don't know nothing.
We don't know nothing about no hockey.
I don't know.
And it's not just a West Coast thing. I was about to say black folks don't know nothing about hockey.
Well, that's
what you know about hockey.
You grew up in New England.
Yeah. But we've had some African Americans.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Area, yes, no doubt.
And that's good stuff. I appreciate that. Appreciate
That and
you.
clam chowder. That's what we got.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, all right. So thank you for playing that game. That was fun. And we are going to wrap this up. So on the way out here, I want to give everybody some few minutes to say something on the way out. Something you want the people to know about law enforcement, about officiating, anything like that. Anita, go ahead.
First, thanks for the invitation. It was really nice meeting Evan and Vince. It's been fun the last hour or so. All I can say is that, and like you mentioned, Dale, we are cops, but we're humans, and we have feelings, and we have family and friends, and in light of all the things that's going on in the world right now with the social civil unrest and all the, as others are saying about the protests, there are a lot of good cops out there. And so please respect them and try to be good people and understand that we're good people too. So be safe out there too.
Absolutely. All right. Go ahead, Vince. Closing arguments here, closing thoughts.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show, and I'd like to thank my colleagues for their insight. I've learned a lot from you today also. For the community and people listening, this is a difficult time for all of us. And I know we need to have empathy and compassion in all those environments for people that are having difficulty during this time frame, which are a lot of them out there. So when we talk about proximity and being in proximity of people and having compassion and empathy, it breeds that. When we talk about distance breeds fear. So during this time frame, even though we have social distancing and we have guidelines in place by the CDC, reach out to someone and try to help them, because it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and sometimes people are afraid to say so. And for all the law enforcement folks out there, take an opportunity whenever it comes to reach out and talk to your community and be as transparent as you can be, and make sure they understand that you're accountable. And that will go a long way in how we move forward in the future with policing in the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Evan, winner of the Jeopardy, the Black and Blue Jeopardy game, go ahead on your closing thoughts there.
First, Dale, I just want to say thank you for having me on here. It was a pleasure to meet you, and Anita and Vince. You guys have a wealth of knowledge in law enforcement and on the basketball court, and it was great to hear from you both. I think, going forward, for our brothers and sisters who are in blue, minorities and non-minorities, we have a tough road ahead of us. There are a lot of questions that are going to be asked of us, and we have to be able to be pliable. We have to be able to move with the change, embrace the change, and bring people to the conversation so they can understand what it is that we're trying to do in our communities, and to understand that, we have to listen to our communities. That's the big thing that's going to come down to this, is just being able to listen. Everybody, it's just like when the coach is yelling and you're yelling because you got your call right and he knows you got your call wrong, and everybody's yelling. Everybody just wants at some point to be listened to. And there was a retired, he might still be the superintendent or the chief in Baltimore. He was doing a TED talk, and he talked about his old partner who talked about dignity. In everything that we do, let's try and always treat each other with dignity. Even if someone doesn't want to give that to you, we have to give it to them. And that should just be a part of the person that you are. For the other officials out there, standing by, wait for the season, just keep working out, keep staying in the books, keep looking at game film, and keep just being honest with yourself. The second you think that you're the best official stepping on the floor, you failed. You failed your craft. You failed your partners. We have to constantly be learning, constantly be trying to get better. You guys take care of yourself. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that. I appreciate everybody for coming on. I appreciate everybody that was watching us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. I appreciate everybody here. What happened there? Okay, yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Black and Blue, on the Black and Blue Live. My partner will be back next week, and we will jump into some other conversations. I appreciate everybody for joining us. I appreciate you, Evan. Appreciate you, Vince. Appreciate you, Anita. Got your name right. I don't know what happened there on the Jeopardy game, but thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. I appreciate you. My name is Dale, Black and Blue Live, and I'm out.
This has been a Maitre D' Entertainment presentation.